Tech Team Weekly. This show may contain mature language and themes.
Hello, folks, and welcome back. Where have you been? We've missed you. This is Tech Team Weekly, your weekly tech news discussion brought to you by your friendly neighborhood co-host. I'm going to start with you this time, Neil. Neil, hello from engineering. How are
Hello.
you?
Hi, Saj. Not bad, thank you. I feel like I've been sat here all week. Like you say, where have you been? I feel like I've not left my chair in a week. We'll get into that in the stand-up.
Okay, brilliant. And Gwen from management. Gwen, hello, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Great to see you. Actually, you're both in management now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of sucks. This is how things go. We'll just all become managers one day.
Unfortunately.
Either that, or this is gonna feel like your appraisal, like you're sat in front of us telling us what's going on, and we're gonna be marking you off.
You'll be, yeah, okay. Let's tell you what you could have done better. All right, cool. So today we'll have our stand-ups, and then we'll go into our epic, which is about apparently not asking for a pay raise in these most difficult financial times, which I think is like a bit stupid, but I think we'll get right into that. So without further ado, here we go. It's a stand-up.
The stand-up.
So my week, in a continuation from last week, has basically been summed up as being very busy. I mentioned last week we're hiring for 3 new candidates, and that means all CVs in the first instance are coming through to me. That's through like direct applicants through LinkedIn, where you get a huge number of them. And we've got 4 agencies on the case who are all sending us high quality candidates, but that means they all need much closer review and feedback on why we wouldn't want to proceed with that particular candidate if that one wasn't right for us. So a lot of work there. We've had some real heroes in our people team doing actual phone screens to just narrow it down a bit. Most people are now at, doing a tech test. We've had to revisit those, and we're to start to do some interviews now. I've rewritten some of our interview scorecards a bit to help us look for the sort of candidates we're after. The real challenge right now, though, is that from my level upwards in the org chart, it's very white male, and it's very difficult to try and get other people onto the interview panel. You always want people who are coming in to see themselves reflected back. It's quite hard to do that. There are some opportunities. We could perhaps get some other people, particularly from the test team, to start getting involved. There's a bit more diversity there that might be able to help. But yeah, I will sum up. It's been a tough week. As a good chance for a quick book plug. A book that I've been reading recently is called Resilient Management by Lara Hogan, recommended to me by fellow tester now management graduate Amy Phillips, who has her own podcast called Humans Plus Tech, where she semi-frequently interviews people from the world of management in tech. Great podcast, great book. Also looking into some stuff to do with my carbon footprint. We've got a new salary sacrifice scheme at work with a company called Ecologi, which allows you to basically take out your salary, some money to plant some trees in various places in the world. I've gone for like the biggest package you can select, like the most trees that they will allow you to do from salary sacrifice. I now need to go and do some calculations to work out whether it's enough to make me carbon neutral. In the background, I'm also actually researching electric vehicles, which is a much bigger discussion for another time. I want to go full electric with my next car, but there's some serious challenges there. The biggest one is the range that people advertise their cars can do are entirely dependent on nothing on board being switched on and it being a lovely clear day where you don't need aircon or heaters. As soon as you start touching anything in the car, you lose range. And it's like, my family's at the other end of the country. I need a high range car that is telling the truth. Also, I'm going to struggle for it to be a Tesla because they seem to be the biggest truth tellers, but also they're very, very expensive. But fun times researching that sort of thing.
There was a lot of excitement in that update. So Lara Hogan is fucking incredible. So I'm going to have to check out that book. Her stuff is awesome for management. So yeah. And maybe we should do an episode when you start choosing your electric vehicle, have a look at that, because that would be dreamy.
I can take that would really be helpful for me. I've got like a whiteboard, the shortlist. I could just pull it up in the background and go, well, there's this and this.
I love the shortlisting stuff. It's amazing. Cool. Let's move on to me. So this week I spoke on a CTO panel for organization called TechTree. They look like they want to be something like Ministry of Testing for developers, which I am so supportive of. We really need a space like that for developers. So yeah, they seem really cool. But anyway, I was absolutely fucking shitting myself about this panel because I am not a CTO and I am a very new head of engineering, and I didn't feel qualified for it at all. But it was actually really, really good. I kept it quiet at work because I was really embarrassed about it, because I'm like, I'm going to mess this up so much. But one of the testers found it and posted about it, and a bunch of our engineers came along and supported me, and I felt so supported. It was the best feeling ever to just be backed up by your team when you're absolutely shitting yourself. So yeah, thank you, team. You're the best. And we hired a tester. I interviewed her yesterday, and I am so in love with her. She starts in 2 weeks. And yeah, she's going to be such a great addition to the team. So I'm like mega excited. And I'm seeing at the Uncharted movie tonight. I don't actually go and see many movies, but I really like action and I really like Uncharted. So I can't wait. It should be really fun. And that's me.
That's awesome. TechTree sounds really good. I've not heard of this.
They're really, really cool. I'm speaking to I'm going to speak to the CTO and the CEO as well about my kind of experience with community stuff. Like they seem really open to like hearing from the community, and they do they host panels and like talks and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to see where they go. We need something like this in development.
Yeah.
I've just scribbled TechTree down on a bit of paper. I will make sure there's a link in the show notes for everybody there to check out.
Sweet.
Yeah, cool. It's the kind of thing I'd love to get involved in. So yeah, in my update, this week's quite sort of really flown by. I've been knee deep in my Xbox testing,
Tell us about it. What have you been doing?
Well, I haven't done a whole lot yet. I've been setting it up to dev, and I've got it doing a whole lot with the Now TV app. So it all sort of works, and I'm in the sort of final stages of making sure it's all sort of polished and nice, and then I can get on to doing my actual job, which is testing. There's some issues or edge cases there they want me to look into. There's logs and stuff to look at. So yeah. I randomly did a week of no news, or like last week, I kind of decided I binge too much news. I constantly have the news on. It's either LBC or BBC or Sky, right? And so I was just like, I'm going to do a week of no news. I had literally, in the last week, I don't know anything about what's going on anywhere.
Oh, this is brilliant. We should do a news quiz. Sounds which senior member of the royal family has got COVID?
Oh dear. No, you're joking. Really?
Prince Charles has got it for a second time, and he met the Queen the day before. As far as we know, she's still with us.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I picked the wrong week to stop listening to the news now.
That's all I know. But yeah.
Okay, that's the one thing you know. And this week's epic has got me really angry. I have been pacing around my room and swearing like a salty sea dog just thinking about this. And I'm going to try and control myself. That's my update.
Nice.
Right, let's crack into it. Well, before you explode.
So we need to hear more about the Xbox stuff when you get into doing the testing.
Yeah.
Like maybe you could share. I guess you can't share because it's work stuff. But yeah, I'm just so intrigued in what you end up doing.
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you what I can tell you for sure.
That'd be great.
It's cool.
Thank you.
This week's epic.
This week, we're focusing on comments from the Governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey, who has warned workers against demanding pay rises in line with the cost of living for fear of causing inflation to spiral out of control. With inflation rates currently on target to hit 7% this year, it's expected that the average UK post-tax income will drop by 2% in 2022. And that's not taking into account April's increased energy price cap, which is set to cause the average annual household energy bill to rise by £700. It's looking to be the biggest squeeze on incomes since records began in 1990. And bear in mind, that means that includes 92, which was Black Wednesday, which is pretty dire. It's worse than that, apparently. Bailey, who, apropos of nothing, is paid over £575,000 a year, said that people do need to accept the painful truth that prices will rise faster than wages and exercise restraint when it comes to making demands of their employer. In turn, the GMB union suggested to Andrew Bailey that he should try being a care worker for a day, a sector where many people are already working long hours on below average earnings. Now, guys, we're somewhat protected from that level of problems in tech. Our salaries are generally reasonable, but as both employees and managers and people who want more money, where to start? I think, Sanj, I'm going to give you the soapbox to begin with because you already expressed interest here.
Yeah, I think it's like really bollocks. Like, firstly, this is like the ruling class being like so out of touch with regular people, right? And I mean, they've said it themselves. It's never been this bad. It hasn't been this bad in 30 years. There's lots of metrics that have never been this bad in recorded history, you know. Everything's going up. People, household debt was already through the roof. You know, it's crazy. And like you say, we are so fortunate. And the four people listening to the show are probably very fortunate as well, you know. But how about everyone else? They're all screwed. This is crazy. And for him to come out and say that inflation is like going through the roof, 7.5% they're saying, right, this year.
Mm.
And to say that we shouldn't be asking for tax rises, for a pay rise, it's outrageous, especially when these pricks are the ones that are going to be milking the system for every penny, right? Corporations have had the biggest boom in profits in like decades, right? Whenever it's a tragedy for the rest of us, it's great for them. They're all milking it. They're making loads and loads of money, right? So I don't think that this guy and all his rich banker friends, right, are going to lose a single penny. They're going to get everything that's coming to them and much more.
Yeah, and even if it's not pay rises, it's dividends or bonuses or something, which he very specifically hasn't spoken about.
No.
Like, I'm sure he'll still find way to earn his keep. And that was actually a comment we had from Carlton on Twitter. Was I bet the head of the Bank of England won't be turning down his pay rise or bonus this year. So why should we? And I think. To an extent, I almost wish it wasn't a part of the conversation. I've certainly worked for companies in the past where cost of living increases were built into the contract and the salary review process. Like, you will have a rise. There are the opportunities to earn levels above that if you perform well, but the cost of living is built into it. And it's companies that don't offer that, which is where the problems start to happen. I remember a company that will remain nameless from relatively recently, where I was part of a panel who said, we've only got X amount of money for pay rises this year, so we're going to give them to these 6 or 7 people. And the rest, they'll stay the same. And I was pointing out to them, no, you're asking everybody else in the company to take a pay cut. If there is that little money available, why do we not spread it and make it so that everyone at least remains in line with where the world is right now?
Yeah. Gwen, we haven't let you say anything.
It's such a massive topic, I guess. And there's a lot of survivor's guilt around this as well. The whole, like, I'm okay, but so many of my friends and family are really not going to be okay soon. And like, how much can we actually do about it? It's so frustrating. And then this kind of shit happening, it's just absurd. Like, yeah, it's nice where I am. We give everyone inflation rises, and then there's the ones on top. And I'm really thankful that we always give inflation. God knows what inflation will be. So, and this is a risk that, like, I've spoken to the CEO and put this down as kind of like a risk that this is going to have an effect on our humans, because it fucking is. Like, and being in management, it's like, are our humans going to be okay with all of these rises? So, like, how is this going to affect their mental health and their work and all of this kind of stuff? So I think that this is something that, if you're in kind of like a senior management position, you need to be aware of. Keep an eye on like what's going on, and yeah, just inflation is out of control.
And we've got an external caller.
Yeah. I'll switch that off.
It's the Bank of England.
Yeah, exactly. It's that guy.
So I guess what's interesting with this as well is the asking for pay rises. So I'd like to know if we have asked for pay rises in our career.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think right now, my feeling is like, there's no reason to not be asking for pay rises. We need pay rises, right? Everything's getting more expensive. And you made an excellent point, Gwen, because if most companies do actually keep up with inflation, right, or like the cost of living, at the next pay review, that could be like 7 or 8%. And are people ready for that? You know, and are they going to get it? Because then, companies could easily turn around and go, yeah, no, we can't afford that.
Yeah.
But then the CEOs will still get their, nice little pay packets, won't they?
Always. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing. What you may end up with is people who, particularly if the job market slows down, I know particularly in tech it's still very active, but if the job market slows down, you've got people who want to hang on to a job because they've got a job, but it's not paying them enough to cover the cost of living. It's very difficult. There's an article that I will link to in the show notes around a similar interview with someone in the NHS who, again, the NHS massively stretched at the moment with everything that's going on in the world. Someone who has left there because they can't get a pay rise to stay in touch with the cost of living. So they left the NHS and gone private. They still have a job. They're doing fine for themselves, but the NHS is now suffering. So it has knock-on effects. And I do wonder to what extent. I mean, these are all branches of the government, all talking strategically. Like this statement from Andrew Bailey has given Boris Johnson the chance to come out. I know Sanjeev missed the news, but Boris's reaction to this was, "Oh no, of course this isn't something we want to do. We'll try to not do that." So he's been able to come out and say that he's against it. But also, if it happens, at least he said he's against it, and so much of it is fucking politics.
But yeah, pay rises. Yeah, I mean, I'm always on top of my money. Like, I'm not working because I love working. I want to retire. I want to buy a yacht in Monaco and never see anyone ever again. So yeah, I'm always going for the maximum that I can get, and I think we have to, right? Otherwise, I mean, you're missing. There's a phrase, leaving money on the table. So every week you're just going home and the company is keeping like an extra like £500 or something that you should be getting, So why not?
Do you ask for pay rises, Neil?
I've been relatively fortunate that I've not needed to. I tend to have got them anyway, which sounds even worse. But like if there is a review cycle, I tend to do okay out of it. I tend to find that the biggest jumps come when you change jobs. And I know we've spoken about that before, back in episode 1 with the Great Resignation. The reason I joined Postman, I mean, I wanted to join Postman last year anyway, but it was the idea was accelerated when they offered me literally 50% more than I was asking for. It's like, well, these are 2 great jobs that I've been offered, one of which was Elucidat, who I am now at. But it was like, well, I would be really silly to turn down the chance to earn 50% more for effectively the same sort of role. So it maybe make the wrong decision in the moment, but certainly it's a difficult thing to ask for because it shouldn't be. If we are feeling valued as employees, then I would rather we weren't needing to ask for it. And I know partly this is where performance review processes come in, and I hate them as much as the next person. But yeah, sometimes you need to demonstrate that you're worthy of a pay rise above inflation, but and a gross pay rise. But I don't know. We had some comments on this. We had an anonymous comment from this that came in to the podcast saying that this person said, "Personally, I haven't ever asked for a raise. I usually think I'm fairly paid for the work I do." Did I write this in? my advice to anyone, if that isn't the case for you, and money is one of the most important factors, is to take advantage of the white hot jobs market right now and leave. You'll either force your current employer to pay more, or you'll do what I did and walk into a new job with a 25% raise. I promise I didn't write this. Salaries have definitely moved in tech in the last 6 months as demand has increased. So if your company won't pay you fairly, be prepared to go elsewhere. And I think, it was mentioned in there, but I think one of the things there to do is to start the conversation about whether it's possible to happen internally. If there is a firm no, and this is important to you, then certainly you know where you stand.
I think it's important, like from a management perspective, it's important to train your humans early to ask for pay rises. So when I've been managing people, a lot of the time I'm managing like younger people, and you have to encourage them to ask for pay rises because this is something that sets them up for the rest of their career as well, that they need to ask for pay rises. So, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm in a really awkward position right now where I actually, purely because I've not got around to finding it, I don't know what the people in my team are currently earning. And that is awkward when we're currently advertising. We've benchmarked the salary roles we're advertising for such that I assume they are benchmarked in line with what people already have. But those people are, for example, going out and finding candidates for me and are saying, out of interest, what are we offering for this role? And I've said to them, bearing in mind I don't know what you're being paid, this is what we're advertising. And I hope that would prompt that person to come back to me and tell me if they felt that they were being paid out of line with that, because I wouldn't want to disadvantage anyone who's already here. And again, that's when you're hiring, you need to think about the people you've already got as well and the message that you're trying to send out.
It seems odd to me. I guess not all that odd, but it was like surprising to me to discover that so many people don't push for more money, or don't push for themselves. It's not just the money, but it's everything else that brings, right? And you're only going to keep progressing so far, so maybe this is like a great topic for like another episode. But yeah, I think people should be absolutely be pushing for everything that they're worth, and more. You have to make the case, you have to keep doing it, otherwise you're never going to get there.
Women don't a lot of the time. It
Yeah.
took me a long
Yeah.
time to be able to. And I'm not sure how that goes with like our gay community as well, whether they're less
Yeah.
likely to. I'm not sure. I've not really looked into it, but I suspect that it might be a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the last time I asked for a pay rise, like it was when I was made test manager without a decision, and I remember like my head of technology was like, okay, so this person won't be managing the testers anymore, you will be. And I said to the head of engineering, like, oh, you better fucking pay me more for that then. And his face like dropped, and it's like, well, it wasn't a question, like, you're going to pay me more for that. I'm not getting paid like 50 grand to manage all the testers, like, yeah. And it was just quite funny, like, yeah.
And if you could have left that company and gone to another company down the street and got 25% more, what's stopping you? Go. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think people, the companies and managers need to be aware of what's going on in the market right now. I've heard of a situation in the recent past, I'll keep it anonymous again, where someone has left a company because they wanted to go to a more senior role and there wasn't a more senior role available. But then the person in the more senior position left like 2 weeks after they'd left. So like if we'd known that person was leaving, we could have made an opportunity open up for this other person. And it's very frustrating to hear about stories like this where everyone loses. And as much as I think, people having the willingness to push for themselves, to ask for more is great. I think companies do need to look at what more they can do for people. And even if it isn't pure rises, I've certainly seen some stuff on LinkedIn this week. I'll see if I can find it for the show notes. A company that has offered to cover this energy increase offset. Like if average bills are going up by £700 a month, we'll give you, sorry, not £700 a month, £700 a year at time of recording.
We're nearly
we'll find a way to, we'll give you that extra 700 for the year to cover that offset, at least in the short term. So that is one less thing to worry about. Now, it's not the same as a cost of living rise, but if you can't do that for some reason, it's something. I'm sure Andrew Bailey would appreciate the creative accounting as well.
Okay, so I guess fuck Andrew Bailey.
We could put that as the title of the episode. We'll see how that goes down.
But if you want a pay rise, which pretty sure most of us will at the moment, don't be scared to ask. It's really important to ask for pay rises. And if you manage people who are early in their career, encourage them to ask for pay rises, because this is something that sets them up for life. Like, maybe you won't be able to give them a pay rise, but get them into the habit of being like, okay, cool, I've done this, maybe I should ask for a pay rise.
Yeah. And if you want to ask for one and you're not quite sure how to, come and talk to us. We'll give you some advice on making your case.
Yeah. Maybe that should be an episode. Our great advice on how to interview and get pay rises and better jobs.
We could be Dragon's Den. We could use all our Patreon money, which totals perhaps £200.
Rich.
Dish it out to people who deserve it. That seems
we'll invest. That'd be a great idea.
The Wash Up.
We really appreciate you listening. We'd love to hear from you. So give us a shout on Twitter, comment on YouTube, or any other way you can get in contact with us. And please consider subscribing. Thank you.
Cheers. See you next week.
Bye all.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Tech Team Weekly.